All right, so in the midst of all the Trump administration's BS, it started war with Venezuela, ruining healthcare, ruining the economy, being just jerk offs in general, they come up with a good thing. So it's cause for celebration. They're going to reclassify marijuana into a Schedule 3 drug. It was scheduled in the same category as heroin. Weed in the same category as heroin. It's about damn time. So I'm celebrating right now. I'm happy about it, but I live in California. Weed's been legal here for like 10 years at least. But it's a messed up economy, like the way the taxes are and the way it's illegal federally. Like there's a lot to be desired when it comes to legal marijuana in California. That being said, it needs to be federally legalized, and this still doesn't do that, but this still puts us on a closer step towards that. I will say this though. Given this administration, given Donald Trump, that there's no way he smokes weed. He's probably never smoked weed, and he's definitely not for smoking weed. So I'm a little skeptical that everyone's heart is in the right place. So hopefully they don't mess up weed and do a bunch of research and come out with that it's actually worse for you than alcohol. So I'm skeptical, but I'm also optimistic at the same time.
We've been listening to President Donald Trump during this Oval Office announcement, the signing of an executive order reclassifying marijuana as a Schedule 3 drug from a Schedule 1 that would allow for more research.
How is marijuana classified, and what exactly is changing here?
Yeah, so we refer to it as a schedule. These are controlled substances, and there's 5 schedules, Schedule 1 through Schedule 5. And what President Trump and others were sort of referring to is the fact that for a long time now, cannabis has been considered a Schedule 1 substance. And I don't know if we have this, we can put it up on the screen. It has very specific language there in terms of what that means. One of the headlines is that it has no accepted medical use. Okay, so that's what a Schedule 1 is. It also has high potential for abuse. And to give context, heroin is a Schedule 1 substance, LSD, ecstasy. So there are 5 schedules. We're now talking about cannabis going to be a Schedule 3 substance. First thing you'll notice if you look at Schedule 3 is it no longer says this language about
Will not be doing those normally on camera or on stream. That was a celebratory bong rip because that is super appropriate given this. And it was classified in the same category as heroin and LSD and ecstasy. Like that's just crazy. God, that is just so backwards.
Not having any accepted medical use. It says it does have moderate potential for physical dependence, but again, the context, ketamine, anabolic steroids, testosterone, those are examples of Schedule 3 substances. So this is not making cannabis a legal substance in the sense that you can just get it over the counter or gas station or something like this, but it is acknowledging for the first time in a long time that there are potential medicinal benefits to this, which I think for many in the medical community, they've sort of known this for a long time.
And what does this mean for research and for access to not only marijuana, but also CBD?
Yeah, so it's interesting. This idea that understandably people want research to show that something works medicinally. Obviously everyone would want that research. But keep in mind, again, if you classify something as a Schedule 1 substance, you're already preordaining that it doesn't have any medicinal benefit. So under Schedule 1, it was really hard to get this research done. That was a large target of our 7 documentaries that we've sort of produced on this. Now as a Schedule 3 substance, that preordained no medicinal benefit is no longer there. And I think it opens up a lot of research funding. You also heard from Dr. Oz there talking about the fact that at the Innovation Center for CMS, Center for Medicaid Services, they're going to start doing trials and targeting people over the age of 65 as well, providing cannabis, providing CBD specifically for different conditions, including chronic pain and sleep and things like that. So not only will it be easier to collect data, it sounds like from this announcement today, they're going to start doing that at the federal level. Again, we've seen this for some time. I used to profiled a little girl named Charlotte Figge in one of our documentaries. She had intractable seizures. She had tried everything. She was having hundreds of seizures a week, went on CBD and was able to diminish those seizures significantly. And she was emblematic of so many other children out there. So again, anecdotally, we've known for some time, but now they want to collect the data.
Let's go back to the issue at hand of this executive order and bring in our Sanjay Gupta, who has covered cannabis so extensively. What stood out to you in this announcement? How is this going to change things? What is it not going to change?
Well, it's not making cannabis legal. I think that was one of the big points that was made over and over again. It is still a controlled substance, and the discussion was really around medicinal use of cannabis, not recreational use. So, keep in mind again, there are these schedules of controlled substances, and they're basically scheduled from 1 to 5 based on how much benefit versus harm these substances may have. And cannabis, I think somewhat inexplicably, was sort of in the highest schedule for a long time, meaning it had no perceived medicinal benefit and had a lot of potential harms, such as heroin and LSD and ecstasy. And I think, a lot of people, many of the doctors in the Oval Office there, many of whom I've interviewed over the years for these documentaries, they have been making this point that it's very hard to collect the data showing the medicinal benefit if you've already classified it as a Schedule 1. So classifying it as a Schedule 3 sort of changes the optics of it, if you will. And I think the other big thing that stood out to me was this idea that at a federal level, at the Innovation Center at CMS, Dr. Oz talked about this, they're going to start doing these trials, and they're specifically going to do it in people over the age of 65. They're going to look at conditions like pain and sleep, and they're going to collect data. So, people over the age of 65, I think they said they will have the ability in these trials to have up to $500 worth of CBD provided to them to be part of these trials to see how well this works and compare it to other things that are already out there. So, it's a significant step on the accelerator with regard to cannabis. I think a lot of people have been waiting a long time for something like this. Howard Kessler, who President Trump referred to a couple of times, someone that I talk to pretty regularly about this on background for our documentaries. But they were saying, look, this is something that's going to likely happen. We thought it might still be months, if not years, and all of a sudden it happened this afternoon.
And Sanjay, something that the president was asked about here, I think it'd be great to get your take on. A reporter in the room mentioned that there had been several lawmakers that reached out to President Trump to express concerns over this move, potentially leading to more recreational use and opening the door for potential harm. I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, that was a good question, and Dr. Nora Volkow, who is the head of NIDA, National Institute on Drug Abuse, sort of took that question. This is not legalizing cannabis. It is still a controlled substance, and to give you some context, it's controlled at the level of schedule of things like ketamine. So is there abuse of drugs like that? Yeah, and there has been abuse and recreational use, obviously, of cannabis for a long time. But if you look specifically at what this executive order is doing, this is really on the medicinal side, and I think it's hard to predict all the ripple effects this might have. But I think.
Oh man, that's a big move. Our boy Trumpy boy made a pretty big move there. And I could see like all the people like in the red states being like, it's legal now. God, it's so prevalent that people get, pulled over, and even if they haven't really done anything wrong, they're like, oh, I smell weed, So that's going to be quite an argument right there, just that. But wow, good news. Good job. Way to move weed forward a little bit. Joe Rogan will be happy about it. I'm happy about it. But I'm watching you guys. I'm watching you, Trump. This better not be some BS. You better not be messing with my weed. That'll be a problem. But if they do, I will let you guys know about it. Stay tuned.